Hello, footy fans, and welcome back to the Chip and Chase podcast. We're back, ready to rip and tear into our round 17 review for the NRL Telstra Premiership Supercoach season. As you guys can see up on the screen, if you're watching on YouTube, we've got everything up there. If you guys are just listening on an audio platform, head over to the YouTube channel at Chip and Chase Podcast. Then you can see the graphics and everything that we have up on screen, plus the face cam, so you guys can better connect with me. So if you're on the audio platform, head over there. But let's get stuck right into it, shall we? As you guys can see up on the screen, we scored 1,102 points for round 17 in Supercoach. Wasn't the best, wasn't the worst. I'm pretty happy with it. There was a lot of people who scored worse. We managed to go up a whole 523 rankings, bringing us to 11,747. I was hoping for a bit more green, you know. I'd like to see 4-digit changes from here on out. But at least we went up, which is might have been the first time we've actually gone up in about 5 weeks. We've had a bit of a stinker going down and down, slowly and slowly, but good to get green arrows nonetheless. So that brings us up to a total score of 8,416. So ranks us in the top 7% of teams at the moment. Yeah, let's just get stuck into how the team went then, shall we? As you guys can see up on the screen now, we'll just run through how everyone went. So in terms of the hookers, Harry Grant was a late cut, as you guys would have known. I had Jake Simpkin as my second hooker, who was on the bye. So I ran without a hooker this week, but that was fine because it just meant I'd cop the AE, but my AEs are really good. This is the positives of having a really strong team, like full of depth and no like AE nightmares. So I can cop an AE in a position like this and just get a good score. So Harry Grant and Jake Simpkin, we didn't get any of their scores. They did not play, meaning we went down into the front row department. Terrell May, 75 points with another try. He keeps doing it. Minutes reduced for sure, but at least we're getting those points. He's sitting at a 19 break even at the moment. So we're going to talk about Terrell May. Let's do it a little bit now. Now, a lot of people looking buy, hold, sell on this sort of player. Definitely not a buy. I don't think you want to be looking at front rows at this point of the season anyway. In terms of a sell, you could, but I don't see the reason you'd do it now. Now, there's obviously the chance that he gets his reduced minutes going into the rest of the season, sort of like what's been happening for, you know, the duration of this season. Definitely a chance, and maybe he goes back down and he starts averaging 40. But at front row, who do you want? Like, there's no good front rows. You can go to Payne Haas, but you don't want to do that until after Origin. I think you sit on Terrell May at least this week. He's got a 19 break even by next week, so he's not going to change price after that. He'll probably go up in price this week. He won't change price next week. Then you can reassess. And if you want to get to a Payne Haas, sure. But I don't really see any front rowers this season being the difference. I think if you got your front row set earlier, you can just forget about it, and then you can worry about the high upside position. So Terrell May, I'm firmly in the hold category. I think I'll hold for the rest of the season. If I am to sell, I think I'm enough. I'll wait this week, I'll wait next week, and then I think I might, depending, because I'm in a really good position. I've got Adam Fanua-Blake, Jack DeBellin, Samuel Afinu, and Josh Curran as dual position players, so they can play anywhere, and all of them can play in that front row. Well, sorry, Adam Fanua-Blake is the only one of those that is stuck in that front row, but the rest I can move around. So I don't need Terrell May. The other thing is you could just hold him and, you know, back end of the season. The Roosters looked for him last year in the back end of the season. He became a massive minute forward. He became an absolute gun. They might do the same this year if there's any injuries to Jared Warrior-Hargreaves or Lindsay Collins or Spencer Leniu. Any injuries, you just know he goes to the moon. So for me, he's not a buy if you don't have. I think you've missed the boat. You just cop it on the chin. If you do have him, I'm in the hold category, but if you are to sell, I think it's just enough. Unless you, like, even Adam Fanua-Blake, who's been the premium front rower this year, hasn't been putting up good numbers as of late. If you go to someone like a Mitch Barnett, who's been putting up really, really good numbers. He's dual position as well. So there's a bit of flexibility there. But right now for the Terrell May, I'm in the hold camp, and I potentially will be for the season. But 75 points from him. We're very happy with that. And Fanua-Blake, 45. Not happy with that. So since we've owned Adam, he's got 111 break even again. So he's going to drop sub 600K. Since I've owned him, I've got 53, 34, and 45 from him. Not a happy camper. But if you can, I still think he's a buy probably next week. But Warriors have the buy next week. You'd probably wait the week after. I don't see him hitting his 111 break even this week. Is he someone you want for the run home? I think so. But maybe that's, as I said, if you've got your front row sort of set, if you own Adam Fanua-Blake, I'm still not selling because front row is a dead position. There's no one you want that has upside. Fanua-Blake and Terrell May are probably the ones that do have the upside. Even Payne Haas doesn't, but at least he's consistent. I don't know. Fanua-Blake, definitely hold for him. And if you don't own him, don't buy for a couple of weeks. But 45, not happy with that, but we move on. Josh Curran, his 59 points ended up being my AE, as him and Galvin, my two other players who I didn't play this week, both scored 59. So either of them became my AE this week, which is a really good AE to get. As I said, that's the good part about having depth. I sat two players who and a lot of other teams would be playing, and that means I get one of them when Harry Grant was ruled out. So that was pretty cool. So 59 from Josh Curran is cool. We were looking to sell him a while ago. He's now got a 55 break even. I think he's going to sit around this high 400s, 500k mark. I'm happy to keep him for the season now. Viliami Fafita obviously didn't play. Into the second row department, Britton Nikota, 79 points, scored a try in that. A lot of people flocked to Britton Nikota this week. I've been lucky in a sense that I've owned him for a while. Obviously, got a few lower scores in there. I can't remember exactly when I bought him. Maybe around I'm not sure, but I've copped a few 50s and 40s. Obviously, the 120 in round 15 and then a 79 here is good. Now he has a break even of 2. A lot of people looking to buy again. I'm all for it. Like, if you don't own him, he's great to own for the buy coverage. And I think he's just potentially a season-long keeper. I will be keeping him for the season, that's for sure. Jack DeBellin, 87 points from him. Back into massive minutes, back to his massive work rate, and a nice little cheeky try to boot. So yeah, sure that you can say that the try bumped up his score to 87, sure. It absolutely did. He wasn't going to score an 87 regardless, but I'm pretty sure he based like 56 or something this week. So I'm very happy that I kept him. A lot of people sold. What was that break even? Down to 64. He'll probably sit around this mid 500k up to 600k for the rest of the season. Again, someone I'm going to keep for the season. Probably put him into my front row and let him rock for a bit. I just had to put him in my second row this week with the Titans on the bye. Samuel Afanu, my other second rower, 39 points from him. Not ideal, but it was a tough old game for the Tigers. So, look, we'll just cop that on the chin. As we said, David Fafita, Beau Fermor, 2 players I own, did not play with the bye. I ended up putting a late reserve on Kai Pearce-Paul when he was brought into the Knights side as a replacement for Dylan Lucas. 34 points from him, not great. 80 minutes he pulled out, I'm pretty sure, and 34 points. Really not ideal. He now has a break even of 73. I'll probably keep him for 2 more weeks because he's got the bye. He plays the bye round, the major bye round of round 19 next week. I'll probably keep him for that and then look to move him on to maybe Homwale Olakawatu coming out of Origin, or if I can get him up to an Angus Crichton, we'll look to do that. Into the halves. Sam Walker, who we brought in, we ended up captaining 56 points. I'm pretty gutted with it, because last week he kicks 12 from 12, and then this week he just decides he can't kick and he kicks 4 from 8. If he hits all his conversions, I think it's another like 20 odd points. A 76 or something would have been beautiful to have as captain. Yeah, really disappointed, but hey, 56 isn't the end of the world. I'm still relatively happy with the purchase. I think he's someone I want to run for the run home, potentially move him to Nathan Cleary late. But that all sort of depends on how Nathan Cleary comes back from injury. And there's also a chance that Nathan Cleary is rested in the final rounds, while Sam Walker, I don't know, maybe he's not. Regardless, I made the choice to bring him in last week. I'm going to run with him for a long time. So 56, disappointing for this week, but I'm happy to own him for the run home. Dylan Brown, 64 from him. Also someone I'm happy to own, and he just keeps punching out these consistent numbers. Cody Nikorima, 21 points from him. Yeah, really, really disappointing this one. Against the Dragons, I expected a few attacking stats. I was hoping for 60s, 70s at least. Nowhere near it from Cody. He's now on the chopping block. I know he plays next week. Next week, as in the round 19 bye, which is, a big reason I brought him in, to have a Dolphins player that covers all them. But I want Nicho Hines, and I think he's my ticket to it. So Cody Nikorima, it's been real. It's been fun, but it ain't been real fun. So yeah, a bit disappointing there. Lockie Galvin, 59 points. We didn't play him. Of course, him and Josh Curran, their points were interchangeable as my AE. Dominic Young, 124. This one hurt a little bit because it was between him and Sam Walker for my captain. I was pretty set on Sam Walker, so I'm not like too in my feels about it, because it was maybe like 75-25 in favor of Walker. But I could have done Young, could have doubled that. Would have been a really good week for me, but that's all right. That's swings and roundabouts. It's still good to own the 124. Joey Manu, 48. It's good that he got those attacking stats in updates before his injury, so that hurts a little bit less. I'm just gutted I own him because I never wanted to. I planned to anti-pot him the entire season. Of course, I brought him in after round 13. I brought in James Tedesco after he missed Origin. And with all that shenanigans and Tedesco being brought back into Origin, I switched to Manu. I should have just kept Tedesco. I didn't want Manu. I just thought, oh, well, he's back at fullback, playing this bye round. I ended up captaining him. He did nothing. He's done nothing since I've owned him. He's now injured and I have to get rid of him. And Tedesco has gone to the moon. And I've always wanted Tedesco. I started the season with Tedesco. I thought this year would be amazing for Tedesco. It has been. I now am finding it really hard to get to him. And it's all because of this stupid Joey Manu situation. So at least we got 48 points. I'm not selling him this week. I don't think I could boost, but I want to hold a boost sort of for the back end or maybe coming out of the this major buy round. But 48 points, we'll take it. Jesse Ramian, 86, doing what he does. Love that man. Ronaldo Mulatalo, one of our trade-ins, the other trade-in last week. 41 points. Not ideal, especially because there's technically a try assist in that off a kick. But I'm still happy with the trade in. It freed up a heap of cash. Maybe I could have gone, pivoted a few different directions. Oh, well, I'm happy to own him this week against the Titans and for the run home. So not the end of the world with the 41. Ruben Garrick did not play. Greg Marju finally pulling out for us with 116. We needed that. A pod player finally, kicking into gear. Lots of people are flocking to Greg Marju this week. I understand why, but I'm really happy to have got that score before the masses jumped on. Kale Iro, 48. You live with that. He saw just base. Chance Nickel Klukstad. Now, this one was the big killer. It wasn't necessarily the captain on Sam Walker that hurt me this week. It was the VC on Chance. I was certain he was going to go well. I was certain he didn't. 24 is his lowest score of the season in a game that the Warriors won. Last week against the Titans, they lost 2 weeks ago now. They lost 66-6 and he scored 36 points in base. This week against last week technically now, against the Broncos, where they win, he gets 24 points. I'm like, what is going on? I am tossing up selling him. Now, there's only one target I really want to sell him to. Now, of course, you've got your Kalen Ponga's back, your Tom Trbojevic back. I'm not looking at them yet. I want to give them a little bit of time coming back. Tom Trbojevic is center. I'm also like, Kalen Ponga's at sky high. Could be incredible to own next week. But these are things I will look at in the coming weeks, but not yet. I also am not confident that Ponga actually plays this week. He could be late scratching. But Chance Nickel Klukstad, the thing that's keeping me a tad intrigued is coming out of the bye. So he has Bulldogs this week. Tough matchup. Then he has the bye. Then he has 3 good ones. I think it's something like Raiders. What are they? Let's have a quick look at it while we're here. Again, 139 break even is disgusting though. He's going to drop sub-set 500k. I could always bring him back if I needed to, but I think if I cut ties, I cut ties. Oh, what am I looking at? Oh, that's not what I wanted to see. I want to see season stats. We scroll down. He has Raiders, Tigers, Eels, Dolphins, Manly coming out of that bye, which are all juicy matchups. I just can't think I can do it, but we will assess that when we get to our trade plans. And lastly, Lehigh Hopoate on the bye did not score. So that's how we shaped up. That's how the team shaped up. Let's get right into a few of the team list changes, shall we? Try and rattle these off quick. For the Parramatta Eels taking on the South Sydney Rabbitohs, the Eels, Micah Sevo is out with a hamstring injury. I think it's about 6 to 8 weeks or something like that. Jake Tungo comes in on the wing for his NRL debut, which is awesome to see. I'm not sure if there's a relation to Isaac, but they look pretty similar. So I'm going to say yes, just on the basis that they look similar. And also, back rower Charlie Geimer will make his debut off the bench. I haven't heard much about Charlie, but he's taken the place of Makahisi Makatoa. So at least they're blooding someone there. Obviously got some good raps on him, so that's pretty darn good to see. For the Rabbitohs, the big ones are Cameron Murray and Latrell Mitchell returning, but where they are returning is the big one. Latrell, he's back at fullback, fair enough. Jai Gray dropping out of the squad. Cameron Murray has been named in the second row. Keon Kaloa-Matangi has kept his spot at lock forward. Now, from what I've heard, I don't believe it. I'm pretty sure there was something last week or whatnot explaining that, yeah, Keon, he's liked his time in the middle. It's been hard work, but he's really looking forward to going back to the second row where he's a specialist player. I think he goes back to second row. So if not, though, massive buy. Like, this was the whole thing. Even if you could buy him now in confidence, because even if he goes back to second row, he's not going to be a bum. He's a pretty darn good player there. But if he stays at lock, that is very, very enticing to own. I just think it's so weird to have Cameron Murray in the second row while Keon Koloamatangi is at lock. I know Koloamatangi has been killing it at lock forward, but it's Cameron Murray. He's a specialist lock and Keon's a specialist second row. I think it just makes sense to move them back. But keep a firm eye on that one. We then have the Sharkies taking on the Gold Coast Titans. For the Sharks, Sione Katoa is out with delayed concussion, so he misses this game. Replacing him on the wing is Daniel Atkinson. I can only assume that Samuel Stone Street is injured, but I saw him play last week, so maybe he got injured in that one. Regardless, yeah, Atkinson on the wing. Not many other changes actually there's no other changes for the Sharks, so not much of note there. It's just good to see their team pretty firm. Obviously, the big loss not big loss, but important loss last week. They have to turn things around here against the Titans, and it's not a bad team to do it for. The Titans, let's talk a little bit about them. Keanu Keeney keeps the spot at fullback. AJ Brimson returns from injury at 5'8", and Jaden Campbell drops out of the side with that fractured hand. Interesting. As we sort of discussed, well, no, we haven't actually discussed it. Let's wait. Let's wait on that. But Jaden Campbell returning is going to be an interesting one for that side. For the rest of their side, not too much going on. Pretty stock standard. Dave Fafita, Bo Fermor back in the second rowers. But let's move on. Oh, and Jojo Fafita returns on the wing. And then we have Broncos Panthers, the grand finalists of last year. Pretty stock standard sides for these. Reece Walsh, Pat Carrigan, and Payne Haas return the Origin trio. Kobe Hetherington is now the second rower, with Jack Gazieski going down with a broken arm. For the Panthers, Dylan Edwards returns, Jerome Luai returns, and Liam Martin returns as well. So they've got all of their Origin players back, looking to be almost full-strength sides, these. Oh, the only other out for the Broncos is that, what's his name? Tony Staggs has dropped to the reserves, not out of the side, which is interesting for personal reasons. I expect him not to play, but it is interesting that they name him in the reserves, so I guess in case that they need him. But that means Dean Marin has actually moved to centre and Corey Oates comes in on the wing. But not much of note there. Moving into the Bulldogs and the Warriors, again, not much of note here. Bulldogs very much unchanged. Connor Tracy comes back at fullback, pushing... Who was their fullback? Blake Taff out of the side, and not much good doing for the rest of that. Yeah, not much doing for the rest of that. It's just Jarrell Skelton heading out of the team as well, with Kiraz going back to the wing. Warriors, not much changes here. Actually, there's no changes. Tohu Harris named to start again, but could swap with Dylan Walker prior to kickoff as last time. For the Tigers, what have they got going on? Charlie Staines comes back on the wing, replacing Solomon Fatape in the centres. He moves Fatape to the centres, and Brent Naden drops out of the side. Bateman comes back into the side at second row, which means Ruben Porter goes to 18th man. So sucks if you bought Ruben Porter and were hoping to get a number out of him. Hopefully getting back next week, but I wouldn't count on it. For the Melbourne Storm, Ryan Papenhausen returns after a week out with a foot injury. Suafa Alongo goes to the bench. Xavier Coates is out with a hamstring injury, which means Kane Bradley comes into the starting side on the wing. Harry Grant has been rested again. And Ramos Smith is included at 18th man after making a comeback from concussion through New South Wales Cup last week. So we'll talk quickly on that. I don't see a world where they've also named Jack Howarth at centre after his injury last week. I just don't see that actually taking place. I think Howarth and Bradley could drop out, or at least I'm certain one of them drops out. I think if it's either Ramos Smith coming in at centre for Howarth, or even on the wing for Bradley, or Farlongo coming on the wing, I just don't see it happening there. I don't see their team lining up like that. The other option is if they keep Farlongo on the bench, excuse me, I expect Ryan Papenhausen will get a spell early in the second half, or depending how this game goes, I think, yeah, they'll give Pappy a early shower in this game, but we'll have to see how that one changes. Might change what you're doing with Varlongo if you're an owner. For the Cowboys and the Seagulls, the Cowboys welcome back all of their origin stars. So that's Valentine Holmes, Murray Taulagi, Tom Dearden, Ruben Cotter, Jeremiah Nanai. So they all come back into the side at the expense of Kilikafu Finifuia. No, they're all in the bench. Who'd they lose this week? Oh, Tom Chester drops out. Jake Clifford drops out, Jackson Purdue drops out, Braden Burns drops out, Thomas McKaylee drops out, Jake Granville drops out. So a few droppings and as such. Into the Seagulls. This is the big one. Tom Trbojevic returns. Oh, God. Excuse me. Tom Trbojevic returning from injury in the centres. Now, we were hoping, as in we, me, myself, hoping that it would mean Lehigh stays at fullback. It was hope. I didn't actually see it happening. Tolutau Koula, of course, has been moved to fullback to accommodate Trbojevic into the centres. But that makes an interesting thing for Koula as a pickup moving forward. Ruben Garrick also returns from injury in the centres. There's a big thing here is what side these players are going to play. I'd assume it's Tommy on the left and Garrick on the right. But at the same time, I've only ever seen Trbojevic play right centre, and right centre is outside Olakawatu and Cherry Evans, and I think that's the best place to be. So we'll have to see what happens there. It could mean a lot of ramifications for Ruben Garrick and Koula owners and whatnot, but it's just good to see Trbojevic back. If you're looking to buy, look, we'll get into that a bit later. I definitely don't want to go early, but a lot of people are. For me, it's wait and see. There's every chance he gets put into Origin. I doubt it, but every chance. It is Tom Trbojevic. For the rest of their team, not too much. Good to see Jake Simpkin at hooker with Carl Lawton on the bench. The other player on the bench is my man, Lehigh Hopoate. So, as we said, we wanted to get him at fullback this week and hopefully for next week as another number. On the bench isn't the end of the world. He's got a break even of 5. So even if he misses the game completely, his break even doesn't change. And then next week with all of their shit that's going to go down, like no Cherry Evans and whatnot, hopefully he can find a place somewhere. If not, we'll look to move him on maybe to Koula next week or something. But for now, he's in the side. I will actually take that. Carl Lawton on the bench as well makes it a really small bench of Lehigh Hopoate, Carl Lawton, Ethan Bullymore, and Nathan Brown are the two out-and-out forwards on that bench. So interesting to see what the Seagulls do there. Then we go to the Roosters and the Dragons. For the Roosters, Satili Tupanua is still in the centres. Michael Jennings returns in the centres for Joey Manu with that fractured hand. Not too much going on for the rest of the team. Connor Watson still at lock. Brandon Smith still at hooker. Lindsay Collins starts this game with Terrell May dropping back to the bench. And that's about it for the Dragons. They're not doing too much either. Matt Fianet got injured last week, so he's replaced by Zach Lomax this week. The rest of their team looks very stock standard. Into the Raiders and the Knights. Raiders have kept the exact same 17 to my knowledge, which means Adam Cook still at halfback, which I liked. I thought he was a gun last week. Kale Weeks still at hooker, who I thought had a shocker, but he did score that great individual try. Hopoate in the centres. Rapana. Oh, Timoko has been named again despite a shoulder dislocation. It's crazy. That one very much could change. They do have James Schiller on the interchange, as is Sebastian Chris. So we'll have to see what happens there. But yeah, interesting to see not really many changes for the Raiders. For the Knights, the other big news out of this week, Kalen Ponga returning from injury in the fullback role. I love it. I really hope he stays there because I just want it to be a fist for all you people who bought Fletcher Sharpe, because it just meant I missed it and sucks for you guys. But yeah, Fletcher Sharpe, he is on the bench, which is very interesting. So Fletcher Sharpe and Lehigh Hopoate, the two sort of fullback cheapies, both on the bench. I'm a little bit more apprehensive on this Ponga thing. Now, there were rumours he'd be back. I didn't think he'd be back this early. I thought maybe next week, which would still sort of stuff up Fletcher Sharpe owners. But there's every chance he does become a late withdrawal and Sharpe starts at fullback. But we'll see. Knights are making a big deal out of his return. I think he does play. But yeah, just wait and see on that one. But just great to see him back, or at least very close to being back playing at footy. And that wraps us up for all of the team list news. So let's move into the trade, shall we? Let's have a quick look at the most traded in players not in my team. Again, we're not looking at the whole across the league. These are just the players that I don't own that are being brought in. So is there a way that we can do this? There is indeed. I found the way to do it, and let's go over to this page here. So the most traded in players. This isn't just in my team. This is just most traded in general. Greg Marju, the number one most traded in. Love that. I obviously already own Marju, but I can understand why others are bringing him in. Off his big score, low break even, everything about him. 500k, we know how good he can be. So 13.7% of trades is Greg Marju. Almost 11,000 people bringing him in. Yep, not too much to say. Great trade. Nicho Hynes, the next most traded in player this week. Also makes sense. Someone I'm looking to bring in. You can wait a week. He's got 111 break even again. But he's up against the Titans. I want to own him. So I'm going to bring him in this week a bit early. And I can see why everybody else is. People going for Will Price, that one's a bit interesting. Definitely no need to go early. I also don't know why is he center wing fullback? What the fuck? He's always been a 5'8". That's baffling to me. Look, definitely wouldn't be going on Will Price early. You can get him next week if you want. Damien Cook next most brought in. That's interesting. Maybe it's Harry Grant sellers or Jeremy Marshall King sellers. I don't hate it, but it's 700k. I don't really like it. Bradman Best next most brought in. Like that. Reed Marnie. Yeah, probably the same sort of hooker sellers that we're talking about. Ola Kawatu, I really liked it as a trade in this week. I was going to do it, but I think I can wait 2 more weeks. Young, bring in. Ronaldo, bring in. And Koula, bring in. Round it out, which are all good trade-ins as well. The most traded out players of the week. Joseph Manu. Makes sense. Lots of money. He's out for X amount of weeks. I think it's like 4 to 6. So fair bit of time. I'd be selling Jeremy Marshall King. Definitely sell. He's probably out for the season or very close to the end of the season. Still Farlongo. Yep, makes sense, but you can wait and see what the Storm are going to do. When's the Storm game, actually? Let's when did the Storm play? Are they late in the round? They are... Oh, they're the Saturday game. Okay, it's a bit of an interesting one. I'd probably still look to sell. Harry Grant, the next most sold. Yeah, if you want to. Like, he's going to miss this week, misses next week with Origin, and might miss the week after, which is tough. That is actually very tough, but I'm going to suck it up this week and see what we can do. I think I'll probably just hold. Chan's the most sold after that, which is interesting because I didn't think people owned him to sell him. But yeah, I like the idea of selling him. Kaipi's poor sell. You could do it, but also a number for next week. Wouldn't do it. Hopgood most sold. Yeah, okay. Let's be done with that. All right, back to my team. So those are the most sold and most traded in. Most traded in, most traded out. Was there a better way of doing that? No. In terms of my team and what I'm doing, we've spoken about the first thing. This one is locked in. Cody Nikorima is leaving my side for young Nicho Hynes. Maybe not young. He's actually a bit of an older head. Actually, let's just sort of by average. There we go. Averaging 80 this season. He's cheaper than Jerome Hughes, which is crazy. Leaves me with 80k in the bank. Now, I'm just set on that. That's definitely in. Now, what do I do with my next? We can save, which is appealing. We can do my other option. Now, this one has been stuck in my head, and let's talk about it a little bit now. Okay. You know what? Let's do my pod buys and then let's talk about it. Let's head over here. Best buys, round 18, point of difference players. Now, again, as you guys can see, this is up on Instagram. If you guys aren't following the Instagram, go and do so at Chip and Chase Podcast. But these are the 3 players we're looking at this week. Not necessarily for me to buy, but definitely players that are very enticing for others. Starting with Keanu Keeney. A 3-round average of 103, a minus 49 break even, owned by 2% of players and playing the round 19 bye. What's the issue in Keeney? The issue comes from the fact that he has only been playing fullback while Brimson has been injured. And with Brimson back this week and Campbell due back sometime within the next 3 weeks, where does it leave Keeney? I'm of the opinion that his form has to have him in the side, but he did start the year as their 3rd choice fullback, and has that actually changed? Wait to hear word about Campbell before purchasing, but if you do go early, you will at least get a fantastic price rise. This here is the player I am contemplating. Tough matchup against the Sharks. Then he has Eels on the bye, which the Eels without Moses are a basket case. And he has Seagulls after the bye. Who knows if they're going to back up their Origin players. I'm really tempted. The only thing I'm scared by is what they do when Jaden Campbell returns. Of course, at the moment, they've named AJ Brimson at 5'8", but Brimson was the fullback before that. He was playing great footy before that. But Keeney has been insane. So I'm going to look over the coming day, just look for information to find out whether or not he's going to be their fullback or when Campbell's due back. If Campbell's due out for at least 2 weeks, I think I'm going to go and buy him, because even if I can get 2 price rises and move him on, yeah, maybe it's not worth the trade in, but the price he's at, the money he's going to make, the points he can score, he's an absolute gun. I'm happy to sort of bring him in. It is for Charnze Nicholl-Klokstad, which is the thing I've been looking at doing. There are a lot of other trades I want to sort of look around. You know, there's the option of Harry Grant to Connor Watson I really like. There's Joey Manu to anyone. There's a lot of other options. And, you know, Charnze isn't a priority trade in my side, to be honest, because he's actually still in the side. You know, he's still playing while Joey Manu isn't and Harry Grant isn't. So is it worth selling Charnze? It's something we'll contemplate. I think for this video, we might be making it, but we'll have to come back to it. But let's get into the rest of the pod options. Bradman Best is second on our list. The post suggests a 3-round average of 73 points for Best, but in fact, if we take out his injury-affected 19 points in round 11, he actually has a 3-round average of 107 points. The Knights love the left-hand side, and with KP returning, this will only improve. With a break-even of only 5 and games against the struggling Raiders, followed by Origin-depleted Seagulls coming up, it's almost now or never to get this gun. I'm really big on him. Someone I won't be buying just because I've got Marju and I don't really want to own 2. I don't want to invest really heavily in Knights because they're still a bit of an iffy side. But if you can get a Bradman over a Greg Marju, I don't hate that at all. I reckon he's a better player. If you can, yeah, I might like Ponga, and then it's just getting Bradman, Ponga, and Marju could work really well, but it could also be awful in the games that the Knights just don't show up. So I won't be getting Best, but I think he's a great purchase. I mean, you can't deny what he's been putting out this season. So Bradman Best, he's the next on our list. And lastly, Tolutau Koula. This one speaks for itself, but we'll read through anyway. Tom Trbojevic returns from injury in the centres, which gives Koula the chance to star at fullback. While the stats displayed on the graphic aren't at all appealing, it's his stats at fullback that make him a very tempting buy this week. In his last 3 games at fullback, spanning back to the end of last season, Koula has a 3-round average of 130 points. He's not a must-buy this week, but he very well could be soon, and if you want to get the jump on him early, then you may not regret it. It's that simple. Koula at fullback is one of the best Supercoach players we've seen in a very limited span of games, but what he's done in that time is ridiculous. I owned him for the back end of last season. I got his 125 or whatever it was, and then I captained him for his 188 in the final round. He's just an absolute gun. If you want to go this week, I can understand it's against the Cowboys, who don't have the best defense, but I wouldn't wait a week, see what the Seagulls are actually doing. I never really know, you know, if they end up moving Trbojevic back to fullback really quickly, then Koula at center isn't very appealing at all. So it's just a wait and see for me. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. Maybe next week I pick him up. At the price he's at, it's pretty darn appealing. So I don't blame players at all for jumping on him early. It's definitely an option. I mean, Cowboys, Knights, and Titans in the next 3 is crazy. So yeah, definitely someone I'll be looking at maybe next week for me, though. But that is all of them. Let's get back to my trades. So back to this Keano Keeney dilemma. The other players I was looking to trade out, of course, Joey Manu being injured can trade him out. I could just go Lehigh to Koula, which is tempting, but I want to give Lehigh another week or 2, depending on what's happening at the Seagulls. It's just, yeah, very, very interesting this week. I don't know if Keano Keeney's the go. I really like the idea. It can just catapult me next week if he does play insane. Minus 49 break even. Let's just toy with it for a second. Keano Keeney, 3-round average. Jaden Campbell, yeah, true, him too. Minus 49 is projected to get, 87. Let's say he gets 87. He's going to make 113,000 in one match. It's just too good to pass up, isn't it? 170 will still be in the. I think it's such a tough one. I'm gonna do it for now. I will bring him in. Leaves me with 27k. So Keanu Keaney comes into the side. Very out there sort of pick. I might change it. If I do change my trades, that's where you go to my Instagram at Chip and Chase Podcast. I'll update you all on that. It's also a bit scary having 1, 2, 3. 3 Titans isn't that awful to have. But that's where we're looking at the moment. The other option is I can also go, probably not this week, but maybe next week. I can go Lehigh Hopoate to Koula and Joey Manu to Olakawatu or something next week. Olakawatu doesn't play. I don't know. There's definitely a few things. There's a lot of trades I want to make. I want Olakawatu for the run home. I think I want Koula. And then after that, I'm not sure if there's many players I want. Angus Crichton, but I think I can get to that pretty easily too. But for now, we're looking at Keanu Keaney. In terms of captains, sit v starts. Let's look at sit v starts first. Joey Manu's obviously not playing. So we'll start these sort of players. Yep, all of them will play. You know what? Let's just throw him in for Ronaldo just to make it look a little bit more aesthetic. All right. Jake Simpkin plays over Harry Grant at hooker because Harry Grant is out, which means at least we'll get Jake Simpkin to score. Terrell May, Adam Fanua-Blake, Josh Curran, Jack DeBellin, blah, blah, blah. Lots of shit here. I'm not... Who have the Roosters got? Dragons. Oh, is it a Terrell May play this week? Can he score a try? I'm going to lean towards no, but it's a tough one. I'm going to potentially start Jack DeBellin and Adam Fanua-Blake as my front rowers. My second row will be Britton Nikita, David Fafita, Kai Pearce-Paul this week. Who's the... Kai Pearce-Paul has been pretty poo. I don't want to play him again. Maybe I'll go Beau Fermor, or maybe I do play Jack DeBellin down here, and I do play Terrell May. It's potential. Yeah, maybe I'll do that. Or do I go Josh Curran? This is the problem with having depth. I mean, it's not a problem. It's a great little problem to have, but not sure what we're doing. Halfbacks, playing both. We're going to probably captain Hines, but we'll get to that. Dylan Brown, he will play. All right, so out of my reserves, I think this is where we're going to sit with our team. So the team at the moment, we're looking at Jake Simpkin at hooker, Terrell May and Adam Fanua-Blake as my starting front rowers. My second row is David Fafita, Britton Nikita, and Jack DeBellin. Then we have Nicho Hines at halfback, Dylan Brown at 5'8", Dom Young, Ruben Garrick, Jesse Ramian, Greg Marju are my centre wings, and Keanu Keaney at fullback. In terms of my reserves, Kel Ito and Ronaldo Mulatalo will get them. So there's 2 gone. Sam Walker gets the 3rd. There's 3. Do I want to give one to Lockie Galvin? Not against the Storm. No. Do I want to give it to Beau Fermor, Kai Pearce-Paul, or Josh Curran is the next question. I'm going to go with... I'm going to go with Beau Fermor. I just feel a little bit more confident in him than the rest. So that's where we're sort of looking. Playing 3 Titans this week. So, oh God, I'm playing 3 Titans and 4 Sharks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Sharks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Sharkies. 5 Sharkies and 3 Titans. So I'm definitely going to want to be watching that Friday game, I tell you what. But that's where we're sort of looking for our Sippy starts this week. This is the cool part about having this much depth. Again, might change as we go. I might not do the Chance trade. I might, if I don't trade him, I'll play him. I don't know. We're just going to have to look around at this. But that's where we're looking for now. In terms of captains, let's go through just game by game and see what the options are. Parramatta versus the South Sydney Rabbitohs to start. If you are a Latrell Mitchell owner, that is the easiest VC of your life, unless you end up VCing Nicho Hines in the second game of the round. But I love a Latrell Mitchell VC. I don't own, and I'm not going to captain Dylan Brown, who I do own. Then we have Sharkies Titans. That's where you've got a Nicho Hines, and you'd probably look to do it. It's very tempting straight C, but he has been underperforming, but it's still Nicho Hines against the Titans. So you could VC and just call it safe. This is the thing. VC, is so safe with me with the rest of my team. So I may as well VC and then cop an AE. If I have to cop an AE, I can just captain Harry Grant and not worry about playing Jake Simpkins. So I will VC Nicho, and I'll try and find a captain later. So Broncos, Panthers next up. Tough one. If you own Dylan Edwards, you could probably get away with a VC or a C just because he's so consistent. Anyone else, I would stay away from this game. Even without their full squads, still no Adam Reynolds and still no Nathan Cleary, no halfbacks for these sides. It's going to be tough. It's a grand final rematch. I expect a fantastic game. So I'm not going to look at any VCs or captains there. Not that I own anyone from those teams, which is a bit crazy. Bulldogs, Warriors, there's no one in those teams that you would captain despite the way that the Bulldogs are playing. You really don't have many captain options. Tigers, Storm, this is where you could throw something out there. Jerome Hughes is tempting. Ryan Pappenhausen kicking is. But as I said, I do expect him to actually get a bit of a spell in this game. So maybe stay away from that. Who knows? Ellie Katoa, if you want to be bold. I don't own anyone, so I'm sort of staying away from that. Cowboys, Seagulls. So if you bring in Tom Trbojevic, this is the time to go. If you bring in Tolo Koula, this could be the time to go. As opposed to anyone else. Ruben Garrick, potentially, but I'm not really confident. Roosters, Dragons, that's tough. Well, I guess I'm going to put a captain on Dominic Young then. I wanted to do a captain on Sam Walker, but I can't do captain and vice captain in my halfback spot. In the Roosters game, James Tedesco is probably the easiest captain here. So if you're a Nicho Hynes and a James Tedesco owner, it's a VC Nicho, captain Tedesco sort of game, or sort of week, sorry. I'll be captaining Dom Young, I think, against the Dragons. Then we have Raiders and Knights. If you have the balls to bring in Kalen Ponga straight away, captain. The scary part about bringing in Ponga straight away, though, is if he is laid out, he's the last game of the round and you won't know. So that's where I'm looking. We've got the VC on Nicho Hynes and the captain on Dominic Young. And that about wraps us up. As I said, if there are any changes to my trades and whatnot, follow me on the Instagram at Chip and Chase Podcast, and I'll keep you guys updated there. And let me know what you guys think. What trades are you looking at? If you have any advice that any ideas that you want advice on, swing me a DM, comment on the post, let me know, and we can talk. And just that's what I'm here for, just to give you guys some advice and just have a chat about Supercoach because I absolutely love it so much. So that'll do us. So thank you guys for tuning into this one. And I'll see you guys next time.